Just as an important PSA, kids, don't stick jelly beans up your nose. No, seriously, don't ever stick them up your nose, it's a bad idea. But anyway, this is the Mississippi King welcoming y'all back to more Let's Play Ocarina of Time, and in this part, we're actually going to tackle the Water Temple, but first, I want to talk to King Zora, because normally what you're supposed to do is to, like, thaw him instead of the entrance to the store. That way you won't have to pay any money for the Zora tunic, but I guess I bet on the wrong horse last episode. So we'll just have to settle for this, for having paid for it. There's also something else I want to do while I'm here at Zora's Domain before we tackle it. It's actually this way, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it should be here. I'm not hearing anything. And it doesn't seem to be here at all! Well, that's great. It's not here. Wait a minute. Is it daytime? Does it only show up at night? Oh boy, I'll be right back. See y'all later. And I'm back. Lo and behold, that was the problem. But yeah, there's a gold Skulltula. I missed that, though. That sucks, but it's time to play the Serenade of Water, which, as I've said in the last part, takes you to Lake Hylia. And so, here we are, folks. We are going to tackle the dreaded Water Temple. But this video was off to a great start, folks. I mean, if that's what happens this early on, then oh boy, I can only imagine what lies in store for us in that Water Temple. It's gonna be just plain old peachy, ain't it? Oh boy. I mean, this is just not yet. I'm pretty worried about this. To be honest, this is the temple I've been dreading the most in this game. Out of them all. Others are relatively straightforward. I mean, they can cause you problems, but they're not necessarily too much of an issue. This temple, however, is extremely non-linear. And, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but, I mean, there's just not nearly enough, shall we say, momentum to it for it to really be interesting. But I think I have a good idea of what I'm gonna do, so yeah, hopefully I won't screw this up. The keyword being hopefully, because, you know, I've been dreading this. So you want to head this way so you can, drumroll please, pull a block. Yep, that's it. That's all you do this way. And this path pretty much ends. Like, that is all you do here. But it's nice to get this out of the way first, because trust me, it is going to become important later on, and I mean really later on into this dungeon. And now that that's out of the way, I think it's time to go down. Like, to sink into the bottom, or, you know, just dive. Because that's what you want to do, folks. And you'll soon get consumed with utter insanity! Seriously, someone send help. I can't get over this Zelda madness. And I just can't seem to do anything about it. It's seriously an issue. That is, I'm telling you, it's not something that you should take lightly, but this dungeon, and yes, you can actually beat this dungeon before the Fire Temple, as I am soon going to show y'all. And the reason I'm going to take on this one as early as I am is because, well, one, I want to get this noise out of the way as soon as possible. This pain is just not worth it. It just ain't. I'm telling y'all, it is just freaking annoying. This dungeon, I'm telling y'all, seriously can get fairly annoying, but nevertheless, I'm gonna get through it. But that's only one reason I took on this dungeon first. The other is I really like the item you get. And what's the item? Well, the annoying thing about this game, well, I'm not so sure I'd say annoying, but I have more mixed feelings on this. Is that, like, you can often get items, and then you'll, like, find an upgraded version of the item later. And, you know, I have some mixed feelings about that because it's like, on one hand, it really does improve the sense of growing stronger in the face of adversary. That you're becoming truly stronger and that your tools are becoming better. It makes it's kind of like it's strong component of RPGs, but I just don't. I'm not so sure that having items that, like, you upgrade in this way, like where you'll get like a better item later on. I'm not so sure that's the way to go. It just sort of feels like they could have made one item something else entirely. Like, you know, maybe a fire rod or something. Like, there's nothing like the fire rod, and that's kind of a shame. Well, there are the fire arrows. Yeah, minor spoiler, but I think they actually are entirely optional, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I could be wrong on that, but nevertheless, we're going to get them later on, after we're done with this dungeon, of course. Also, that was Princess Ruto right there. And, well, she's now an adult, or, well, okay, I'm not actually sure how Zora aging works, but I gather it's at least somewhat similar to how human aging works. But, these things are pretty annoying. You have to kill them with the hook shot. You can try other methods, but, well, I don't know if they'd work. Yeah, that's one thing I feel I should mention about this game and one thing that is really annoying in this dungeon, you can't use your sword underwater. Because, you see, the Master Sword may be the Blade of Evil's Bane, it may be able to slay all sorts of demons, but apparently it's not made of stainless steel, because you clearly can't use it to attack underwater. I'm guessing it would just rust or something, I don't know. It's really stupid, and I hate that you can't use your sword underwater. That is really annoying. And you, like, have to use your hook shot, and that is just really annoying. And I don't like that, and I've said that already. But nevertheless, and you also, there's something else that is really annoying about this dungeon, and the most annoying part of the basic mechanics that are there, is that, like, you also have to constantly switch between the iron boots and the regular boots. I try to reduce that as much as possible, like when I just dived under to the place where we got the compass, because, you know, I don't want to have to put on them iron boots just to get to it. And, you know, this place is really annoying because you have to constantly switch between them. It's real, it gets on my nerves. And, you know, some may say you have to do the same thing with the hover boots, but the hover boots aren't really an issue. You can just get through the entire Shadow Temple with the hover boots. Yeah, I know, spoilers. Man, this video is filled with spoilers, but nevertheless, the hover boots are actually something that are fairly useful. Well, I mean, they're not something you need to change out of, like, they don't slow you down, they make you a bit slippery, your movement slippery, I should say. And, well, that can bother some people, but I usually don't really mind it. I can handle it. That's one thing I really like about the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, is that the iron boots reappear in them, but they're actually mapped to their own button. So it's like, well, I mean, you have to map them to one of the buttons, and that is so much more convenient than in Ocarina of Time. It saves so much time here. I'm heading this way because there's a gold Skulltula. I just want to get all them Skulltulas, and so here's one. And yes, I am going to get all of them Skulltulas, but nevertheless, this dungeon is pretty annoying because of how you have to constantly switch between the iron boots. And also, one other thing I like about how Twilight Princess in particular uses the iron boots is that it gives them a lot more utility. So it's like, it's not just used for sinking underwater. The first use you get them for actually has nothing to do with water. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything more about that because, you know, I don't really want to get into spoilers. It's kind of a minor spoiler, but still. This is not the place for discussing spoilers, but nevertheless, I just like how it gives it way more utility. One of the other things about this dungeon is that, well, I get why they made it so non-linear for story reasons, because I think it is kind of fitting that a dungeon where it's easy to get lost is placed at a point in the game where at least I feel that the player may feel sort of lost and confused with no true direction. And that's also one of the reasons why I will defend the Fire Temple, because, like, yeah, it's incredibly linear and like, it occurs in a straight path, and like, you can just head straight for the end with practically no turns. And, you know, that bothers some people, but I think it actually works for the Shadow Temple, because, like, the whole idea is that you're trudging through a gauntlet of tasks to reach the end. You're fighting through the various forces of evil that would threaten Hyrule. And so it feels fitting from a story standpoint that the Shadow Temple would be so linear, and that it would have a clear-cut direction, because at that point in the game, that's kind of where you are. You sort of know what you're doing, you have a greater understanding of your place in the world of Hyrule, and the only troubles that threaten you are getting to place, getting through the gauntlets, through the foes. And so yeah, that's why I think the Shadow Temple actually does work really well as a linear dungeon, is because it kind of belongs, it kind of fits in as that in a way, like, for story reasons. I mean, was that what the developers intended? I don't know, I mean, but that's the beautiful thing about art, is that, you know, there are no clear-cut answers. You can't, like, you can make your own interpretation, and that's just as valid as that of the author. And so that's the thing, is that your interpretation of a piece of art can differ drastically from that of the author. And that's the amazing thing about art. But the thing that's fairly annoying about this dungeon is that you have to... Well, one of the many annoying things about this dungeon is that you have to constantly raise and lower the water level. That gets irritating. That can really try a person's patience, boy, I tell ya. And anyway, the reason I'm heading here is so that I can actually raise the water level. Oh, also the drink that I was telling you all about in part 14. Yeah, I finished drinking that. Yep, it is done. Finished that drink, folks. I'm sure y'all have too, in that amount of time. But nevertheless, what you want to do here is to actually raise the water level so that that block rises, and then you actually want to sink down below the block, and that took me forever to figure out. Like, I'm serious. When I was first playing that, I had no idea. I was really stuck on this place. I don't know how long it took me to figure out that you actually have to sink below that block. That's kind of that's... I don't know whether to be really upset at that kind of trickery or really impressed, because it's like, I don't know. Also, you can actually use your shield underwater, I think. And while apparently your shield isn't made of, well, actually, apparently it is made of stainless steel. So it's like the shield is made of a stronger material, or a more water-resistant material than the Blade of Evil's Bane. So yeah, fantastic. So, what do we get for all of that trouble we went through just to get this key? I mean, just to get here, we get a small key. Yep, pretty annoying that you have to go all your way here just to get a small key. And this key is mandatory because you have to use all the small keys in the dungeon, I think. But nevertheless, that's pretty annoying, and that's also why I cast Aurora's Wind. That way I can get out of that noise as quickly as possible. Also, I think speaking of drinks, I've always thought that the expression "the drink" when referring to a body of water is hilarious. Because, you know, like, he fell into the drink. Like, I don't know, I just thought that that's kind of a silly expression. I don't know why, it seems rather funny to me. Also, that torch back there at the entrance, like, you can actually light it by shooting an arrow through the flame. Or you can use Stin's fire, or the fire arrows. I didn't really bother showing it because I just didn't feel like it. But yeah, the next place you want to be going is this way, since it, I think leads to somewhere important, okay, folks? And you can actually raise the water level this way. And just like before, I'm gonna cast Aurora's Wind because we're gonna need to return here. It's a lot less of a pain to use Aurora's Wind and just like warp back here than to have to go through all that noise again, because trust me, that is not something you want to go through. So it's not necessarily that I mind the dungeon being so non-linear, it's that it's so annoying about it. It's like, to get to places you have to like go through so much, you have to jump through so many hoops just to get someplace. And you know, that's kind of annoying. You just, like, you have to go through a lot of crap just to get where you want to go. Yeah, I don't really like that. It's just friggin' annoying. I know I've said that a lot, but it is. No, seriously, it's really annoying, and in this room, it's actually kind of interesting. You have to use the hook shot to climb these sets of stairs, and that's actually a clever use of the hook shot. And it's really neat. The dungeon just forces you to do a lot of annoying things just to get somewhere. But we're going to have to come back to this place again because there's a gold Skulltula that my hook shot can't reach, which is pretty annoying that they put it there and make you backtrack just to get that thing. I don't like that. That is just not cool, man. Okay, this is not how I planned. I need a key. Well, that sucks. I guess I'm gonna have to get that in the next video, so see y'all then. This is the Mississippi King signing out.